I never imagined I'd be the guy posting on a subreddit like this, but here I am, sharing a story that is nothing short of unbelievable. It's about the night I overheard my wife laughing with her friends about how I was too stupid to realize she'd been cheating on me for years. I was blindsided. But what happened next was nothing like what you might expect. Last weekend, I was supposed to be on a guys' trip to watch the game. 2 states over. We'd been planning it for months, but Daryl's kid got sick last minute, and the trip was canceled. No big deal. I figured I'd surprise Heather by coming home early. You know, the romantic gesture. But what happened when I got home was so much worse than walking in on her with another man. As I pulled into our driveway at 9 p.m., I noticed several cars parked outside. I recognized Michelle's Subaru and Kathleen's Honda right away. Heather had mentioned having the girls over while I was gone, so it made sense. But as I was about to walk in through the front door, I heard them laughing on our back deck through the side gate. I paused, intending to head around back and say hi, but then I heard them talking about me. "He's too stupid to realize I've been cheating for years," Heather's voice rang out, slightly slurred, followed by uproarious laughter from her friends. My heart sank into my stomach. I froze, completely paralyzed. I didn't want to hear more, but my body just couldn't move. I stood there, trembling as they continued to laugh. "You should have seen how sweet Griffin was the next day, making me breakfast," Heather said. If only he knew what his precious wife had been doing the night before. The punch landed. I made her favorite avocado toast that morning. I'd brought her coffee in bed, told her I loved her, all while she was lying about cheating on me. I didn't confront them. I just stood there, numb. Eventually, I walked back to my car and drove aimlessly to a nearby Target parking lot, my mind racing. I must have looked insane, sitting there in my car, unable to breathe, trying to process everything. The life I thought I had was crumbling, and I didn't even know how to react. Finally, I called Daryl. Thank God he picked up. He offered for me to crash at his place, so I drove to his house. We stayed up for hours, going over everything. The more we discussed it, the more it all made sense. The trips where she came back with barely any photos, the unexplained charges at hotels, the late-night showings to clients. I was the biggest fool, living in a lie. That night, after I got back from Daryl's, Heather texted me as if everything was fine. "Hope you're having fun with the boys. Love you." It took everything in me not to throw my phone at the wall. The audacity. The next day, I played it cool. I pretended everything was normal, telling her I'd crashed at Daryl's because I'd had too much to drink. I even acted like I didn't mind cleaning up after the girls while she nursed her hangover. But inside, I was preparing. I was going into full reconnaissance mode. I spent the next week collecting evidence. When she was in the shower, I went through her phone. Thousands of texts with Sutton, explicit photos, hotel receipts, the works. I also checked our finances, hundreds of unexplained charges at restaurants I'd never been to. I took screenshots of everything and emailed them to myself. I met with a divorce lawyer on my lunch break. She laid out the plan, document everything, protect my finances, and get ready for the storm. As the days passed, I realized that this wasn't just about leaving her. I wanted justice. Heather prided herself on being the perfect wife, the moral compass of her friend group, the one everyone looked up to. But she was living a lie, and I had the proof. I started taking strategic steps to protect myself. I transferred half our savings to a new account in my name. I froze our joint credit cards. I moved my important things to my new apartment, slowly, carefully, so she wouldn't notice. Then came D-Day. It was Heather's big client event. I knew she'd be busy, and that was when I made my move. I sent a package of all the evidence to Sutton's wife. By noon, all hell had broken loose. The messages started flooding in. By 2 p.m., Heather's event was falling apart. She had to leave early because of an emergency. I was watching it all from my new apartment, calm, collected, as her world started to collapse. By 6 p.m., she was home. I'd been waiting for this moment. She walked in, mascara smeared, looking like she'd aged 10 years in one day. I didn't say anything, just handed her the divorce papers. Her face went pale when she realized this wasn't just some reactionary move. This was planned. I'd been preparing for weeks while living with her, pretending everything was fine. What happened next was almost too surreal. She begged. She screamed. She tried to seduce me, but I just stayed calm. I knew exactly what I was doing. I handed her a breakdown of her new financial reality, the spreadsheets, the projections. She realized I'd already moved half our savings and that she was financially screwed. Heather's social circle collapsed quickly after that. Her closest friends, Michelle and Kathleen, started distancing themselves. Michelle, who had once been her staunchest defender, literally pretended not to be home when Heather showed up at her door, begging for support. Kathleen, her so-called best friend, dropped her like a hot potato. While Heather's world was falling apart, I focused on securing my future. My lawyer had advised me to protect all my assets, which meant transferring things into my name and keeping an eye on every financial move Heather made. It was strange. I was living my life while she was in complete freefall. I was sleeping at my new apartment, going to work, spending time with friends who had rallied behind me, all while Heather was trying to put the pieces of her shattered life back together. Her financial situation became desperate. She could no longer afford the lifestyle she was accustomed to, and when she lost her job, it only made matters worse. She was forced to move in with her parents, a humiliating downgrade from the luxury apartment we had shared. At 32, she was back in the same room she'd had in high school, surrounded by floral wallpaper and childhood mementos. It's not that I didn't feel bad for her. In a way, I did. But I couldn't forget the woman who had betrayed me, who had laughed about my ignorance. Heather had made her choices, and I was simply watching her face the consequences. 6 months passed. Slowly, but surely, I was moving forward. The first few months after the divorce were hard. I focused on work, kept busy with hobbies, and started going out with friends again. I even started dating. Nothing serious yet, but I was open to new connections. Then one day, I ran into Heather at Home Depot. I was buying paint for my new place, and we literally bumped carts in the aisle. For a split second, neither of us knew what to do. She looked different, her hair shorter, her clothes more modest. She was no longer the polished, perfect wife I had once known. We sat on a bench outside, our carts between us like shields. She started by offering an actual apology. No excuses, no blame shifting. She simply acknowledged how badly she had hurt me and admitted she was working on herself. She didn't try to manipulate me or beg for reconciliation. She was just sorry. She told me she was moving to Chicago, starting over with a new job and a fresh start. It was a little surreal, honestly. I realized I didn't feel anything, not anger, not relief, just nothing. I was at peace. As she walked away, she turned back and said something that stuck with me. I know it doesn't matter now, but I really did love you. I just didn't know how to love anyone properly, including myself. I watched her drive away and realized just how far I had come. 6 months ago, that moment would have shattered me. Now, it was just another chapter of my life that was over. Where am I now? My new place is coming together nicely. It's smaller than the apartment we shared, but it's mine. No memories lurking in corners. I'm learning how to enjoy my own company again, how to rebuild my life on my terms. Work is going well. I'm reconnecting with old friends. I'm even dating someone new, but slowly. She knows the basics of what happened, but not all the ugly details. She's patient with my trust issues and understands when I need space. Heather, on the other hand, is living in Chicago. And as much as I'd like to feel satisfaction, I don't. I don't need to wish her ill. Her life has already played out the way it was meant to. I'm just focused on my own path now. The best revenge isn't about destroying someone else's life. It's about rebuilding your own better than before.